Hey, welcome to my show.
I hate
I
you.
just happened to invite this young lady, Khaleesi Simmons.
Oh.
Welcome to the Go Business Podcast. How you doing?
I'm awesome. I am really awesome. Today is going exactly the way I designed it to.
That's good. That's
What about
good.
you? How are you?
I've had better days.
Hmm.
I've had better days.
I can't wait to teach you my trick.
Okay. What you want to talk about today?
Spending your money.
So cringe, bro.
What? I'm cringe? You sound like the kids. I'm cringe?
So cringe.
Am I? Is it okay? Is it cringe because it's ghetto or is it cringe because what? What makes it cringe?
It's just not ghetto. It's unethical.
Oh my God. Why do we have to live in your world? There are too many rules over there. Unnecessary.
So let's talk about financial. What'd you say it was? Financial
Repeat it. You have a great memory.
spending your money.
Exactly. You threw your ass right off, didn't you?
Ill.
You don't like that shit. Disturbed. Let's talk about disturbances. And I think one of your probably top two disturbances are anything that comes close to poverty or a irresponsible financial management, just irresponsible. I think it's just the irresponsible part really too, and inconsistent. You don't like that. You don't like anything that's not structured and consistent. And when it happening with finances, oh my God, you're in an uproar.
Yeah.
Internally, it disturbs you. I thought it'd be a really good idea to talk about finances through marriage because our philosophy, there we go. I was trying to get back to where I started. Our philosophy when we're coaching and mentoring couples is that it is a partnership agreement between the two at the same time, how we're going to maneuver through this relationship with our money. And I think personally, it's important that we give our each side's perspective so people can see one as a spouse, as a husband, as a wife. We wear a lot of other hats, what that perspective looks like in a marriage with finances.
Yeah, and I would just say and I guess we can talk about a man's perspective. A lot of the stuff that happens in like most military relationships is that, from my experience, a lot of the wives just wife, and then the military man makes the money and bring home the money, and either spends all the money and give her a little bit of money to make sure she good, or she spend all the money and he get a little bit of money just to make sure everything good. So
So
those,
there's a normally on average an extreme opposite.
yeah, an extreme opposite and definitely imbalance of knowledge of what the hell's going on with the money. Because you ask the husband, be like, "Hey man, how much should it cost to get groceries for y'all 4 kids?" You be like, "I don't know. I just bought 2 Call of Duty games and a what's the name, and
Some
she
shoes.
take the rest of it. So I don't know none of that." And the same thing. Sometimes it be like it costs 400 for groceries, so I give her 400, and that's what we living on. And either way, it's probably like very uncomfortable to the point where it will probably create a boiling point for that relationship because they haven't talked about it, or they have talked about it but never came to an agreement that somebody is upset and never did anything about it.
Okay, so you want me to ask the questions or you want to ask the questions?
You can ask the questions or answer the questions. We can just ask a question. We can talk about it, and I'll say what you think. And then you can talk about your question.
I love you so much. In your perspective, what would you say our relationship reflects on average or in comparison to the average military relationship?
You mean like where do we sit in a dynamic of
The polar
part
opposites.
part of where
Yeah, what
I
you were
think
describing.
like personality wise we have uh total opposite. I don't spend a lot, but I also don't not know where all of the money is at as well, because part of me ensuring that we are good is that I have to kind of, well, I'll just say it. I don't know why I'd be just like sugarcoating shit. But I will take less of the money because there's 10 people in our family. But I also, part of that goes into the business and the other part goes into investments. And so I need to be smart about that, because at the end of the day, I know what we get, sometimes it ain't enough. And that may not be true for you, because when you get it, it might just be what you need to operate the business. But I know that for me, we not good.
So back to my original question. Where do you see us in the comparison to other military families in relationships? Would you say we have the same dynamic as what you would consider average, where you get a little bit of the money and your wife spends the
Yeah.
most? And when you say spends the most, I took that earlier, I took that as the wife normally is blowing the money or irresponsibly spending it. But the way you described it is we have 10 people in our house. That's why the majority of the money goes out instead of just in your pocket. So I think there's a little bit of difference there. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, the definition of spend money is to give the money to somebody else for a good or a service. So you either going to invest, spend, or make money. There's no other words to do with money.
Okay. No, I love it. Okay. You're so literal. Okay. What would you say if a military service member came to you and said, Hey, I would like to sit down and talk to you about my family's finances? How would you advise them in that moment? Like you're at work, you pass them at work in the office or something.
My first question would be, is your wife willing to sit down with you?
Okay. So it's important that both partners are there.
100%.
Okay. And why do you feel like that's even necessary? Because he's, oh no, I got it. She don't need to be there.
Because there's going to be some financial grievances that he's not aware of. And it could even be feelings as well that he's not aware of. And you can't make all of these moves without understanding what everybody needs. Even if she got her own check, you got her y'all own check, y'all feel like y'all good, but you came to talk to me, so you can't be good.
Okay, good point. So you said something else that made me think. Ideally, if he says, "Oh, okay, me and my wife want to come in and sit down and talk to you," what are some of the things that you would be curious to get them to see in the first, just sitting down?
Really, I just want to know the dynamic of the saver, the spender, the investor. Are we investing? Where does the money go? Um,
Big question. Where does the money go?
and I think the other piece that I think I want to know is why.
So, what I think should happen is when you sit two people down who are married, I think you should give them separate, where does the money go list, and let them sit there quietly, separately, and fill that list out. And then you take it back and look at both lists and you say, okay, no, this is where you said the money's going. And now this is where you said the money's going. Now, what we're going to do after this is make sure this list is one list and you both agree at the end of that, this is where the money's going.
Mm.
Now, where I would like to teach the next step would be every year when we are doing our vision board, our New Year's resolutions, our this is what we want our family to do, we also need to be looking at an annual budget. And I would be surprised if I had 20 people I knew that weren't business owners, right? Just 20 people that were doing an annual family budget every year, just consistent. Okay, last year we did baseball, football, soccer. All right, we know that 300 is going to go each month. All right, we did. Are you guys sitting down and doing that? So I think after we decide this is the list, and we're starting to build into each year. We know what our budget is going to be. Now we can say in 20 years, we'll have enough for the 75-acre ranch with horses.
Yeah.
And you can financially plan it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the reason the annual budget is crucial is because when you look at how much money is coming in for the year. And of course, if you have a side business, side hustle, and extra money is coming in, and you outline that big budget item or the big budget items to say, hey, we're going to spend 5,000 on groceries this year, then it kind of puts into perspective, hey, I get my nails done every week and it costs me $3,000 a year. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're like, okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
scale back on this
Yeah.
because that extra $1,000 or $2,000 could go towards our down payment on something that we actually want. And yeah, it's just more eye-opening when you start to see the big numbers, the macro numbers.
I think getting your vision in line financially will save your ass in other areas of problems in your relationship. And I'll say this because once you commit to 20 years mentally, emotionally, 20 years, in 20 years, we're going to get a farm in Africa. I'm working all this time thinking about my farm in Africa. These are the things that I'm doing. He is also equally doing that because that was what we put on the list. So now I've emotionally attached something to someone that, oh my God, this problem came up in our relationship. Oh my God, this is going to be a situation. I don't even know if I want to stay in this relationship, but actually I do because I've invested much more than just my time and, my life. I've invested my vision of my future.
Hmm.
So I think that it's important that in the beginning, if you could sit down with someone and right now, if you're already married, but in the beginning of your relationship and be like, all right, let's dream really big and plan out and then talk about the money. And you're constantly talking about the money. Like it's a thing you're excited about. It's not a burden. You're looking for better jobs because you want to raise the money. Like you're constantly raising. That's what happens.
I think what would be cool is you just gave me an idea to kind of
Mm.
niche this down a little bit more to be a premarital
I
financial
love it.
counselor.
So to go along with my curriculum from the last podcast
Hmm.
that we're going to create, let's talk about a budget workbook, marriage. Now we have the let's talk about a budget
Before we get married.
before we get married.
That's crazy. I'd read that. I just remember just a couple of couples, they crack me up when we say, hey, how much do you spend on this? And then sometimes the husband look at the wife or the wife look at the husband, whoever is the
And I can't wait to take this to a
point
conference.
guard will just look and we'll be like, no, Joe, I'm talking to you. And he'd be like, how much is it again? 25, 20, 20, 30? Like, like the important part about that exercise though is then you really get to point out the fact that y'all need each other,
Hmm.
and it's okay. Y'all need each other.
Like really, this additional salary is helping me get my Africa farm. And the vision becomes much clearer and closer. I want to go out there and smack them.
Me too, because
Because,
why are they
like,
on
I
the side of the
literally
house?
said, and then they're doing that.
Like in and out the door, letting the baby run around. It's just inconsiderate. Especially after you've been gone for the last 3 hours and you got everything you want. Wanting just to be with somebody with no guidance or direction. Like we just gonna sit here and you play video games in the other room and I go talk to Rochelle on the phone until you done playing video games and then we do the boom boom, go to sleep and wake up and do the same thing every day. What does that look like 20 years from now? And again, what happens when you don't have these goals and these conversations and a vision for the future, somebody's gonna reach a boiling point. Like she don't do nothing but spend the money. Why is she just spending the money with no return and no vision? Why is he just sitting in a video game with no return and no vision? Are we gonna be sitting in this old crusty house for the next 40 years? No vision. That's important. It's important. I think.
I think that for us, because basically we've elevated to a six-figure lifestyle, and a part of that on paper is flabbergasting because it's like, how in the world are you guys able to afford that? And I know that's a question that I get a lot of the times from families and couples. It's like, how? It ain't because the Army pays us $1 million. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we've structured our finances in a way to where we at least have a conversation about it. And we've committed to not spending large sums of money without talking to each other about it. I normally never say no. Robert normally never says yes. And that's kind of how that goes. So I know if he's coming to me about something for spending, like a big item, maybe let's say a truck, that's a conversation.
Yeah.
What's another item that would be a conversation in marriage about spending?
I think based off of how much the couple makes, they should set a conversation conversation amount. So I would say for us, that conversation amount is probably like 250, 300. Every time is we about to drop 200. Hey, I'm about to buy a plane ticket to what's the name? And the plane ticket don't be
Yeah.
but
I
178.
be trying to keep my plane tickets low.
But it's still a conversation. And again, the reason is though, like when you look at the big budget for real, and you're like, oh, I have this creative idea that's outside of everything that we plan for. And then you're not looking at the emergency fund. You're not looking at the price of Bitcoin this week. That 200 could have been 600. When you're not looking at we only have 5,000 in the down payment for the new home. Like you get particular on what it is that you are, I mean, not particular, but more focused and purpose
Intentional.
driven, yeah, and intentional on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So that's why I say, yeah, it's cool, but what's the saying? A small leak seeks a big ship,
Mm.
right? And so the more you are looking outside of the budget and you say, hey, it's just $200, it's just 150, it's just $10. The more and more you do that, the more and more you are taking that 170, 150 $10 away from a purpose driven goal. What you think?
I think that I don't get to look at you in this angle because I have to look at the camera. And when I want to look at you, but when I look at you, people can see up my nose.
You can see up your nose.
Yes, look at my nose.
Is there something wrong with your nose?
I don't know if I
I
like
think
it.
your nose is perfect.
Thank you. Richard Hector used to call me Nosy O'Donnell in the third grade.
Probably work at Burger King.
I don't know what happened to Richard Hector, but I will never forget that. He was like, ew, Nosy O'Donnell.
Oh, so corny.
I thought so too.
Fuck you, Richard.
Oh, that's
I
funny.
got your back.
No one's ever said that.
Fuck you, Richard. I punch you in the nose. Err. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, he's a UFC fighter. Fuck.
Man goes viral
three,
for
three,
fighting UFC
right, three-time champion. That's
for bullying his wife in the third grade.
oh Lord.
Would you accept the match? Would you?
I said it.
Babe, it's
I
been a
said what
pay
I
out.
said.
It's been a
I
pay
said what
out.
I said. Standing on business.
Octagon. Oh
Oh
my
man,
God.
it's time.
Babe, I'm wearing a fur.
Oh my goodness. How you gonna wear a fur to my funeral?
It's not a funeral, baby. It's a show. It's gonna get paid after this.
Oh man,
Babe,
that's funny.
just take them with the punches. But you could get a lick. You
That's
could get a lick, babe.
funny.
You're fast. I think you
That's
can get them.
funny.
Okay, so what is the biggest financial purchase you see in your future that maybe you would have a conversation with me about, or maybe we've already had a conversation about?
My near future.
Mm-hmm. Breathing hard over there.
Yeah, Dubai, Egypt, and I think those are probably the two biggest in my near future. Like within the next maybe year and a half, though, it's more than likely probably the truck, and then, hey, where are we gonna live at? I ain't gonna say for the rest of our lives, but where are we gonna lay our head at after I get out this army? I think that's a big conversation.
Okay. I sent you a house today. Did you see it?
I did not. I'm serious.
You didn't see it.
Just because you didn't send it, I didn't see nothing. Oh, I mean, Johnny had my phone for the last 2 hours as well. I'll take that back.
Thanks. Okay, so you've got the truck, a new home, sounded like. And what was the other thing you said? Oh, Dubai and
Egypt.
Egypt. Okay. And
Dubai, I owe on the back end, and then Egypt, I want to do for my birthday. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to squeeze them, but I'm gonna at least plan them, and make them happen.
where did that negativity come? I need you to take that back. Why would you not be able to squeeze them? It's 365 days in the year. I think we can get 10.
Maybe in my head, I need more than 10 days.
I think 365.
Okay, Khaleesi, nobody want to argue with you on the damn thing. That's what you want. You want a good episode. We would just sit here and do a real life argument. We probably should. People gonna be like, I see why when he say something, she just be leave him alone. Cause
I'll be leaving you alone.
yeah, when I get to a point. But again, you like to talk to win. I get to a point where if you're not gonna hear me, we not gonna talk about it, then
Okay, stop talking. I'm gonna just stop talking.
okay.
Okay, so ask me a question about finances in our relationship.
As a person who equally makes money, what's the split on the bills?
I have no idea. Let me say why I have no idea. Let me say why I have no idea. I feel like that's a math question. So immediately I'm like, what does he want me to say? Like 60/40? Like I don't even know. And then after that, after you ask that question, that was my first thought. Then the second thought is all the money goes in one place, all the bills money goes in another place. Why would I need to know anything more than that?
I agree.
Like what what like you want me to do you see what I'm saying? So that was my answer. With the money, there is a pot. Out of the pot comes the bills. This is the money. And since I can't spend the bill money, I don't even care.
It's crazy because some people live in a household with $200,000 incomes and be broke. And they
I've
probably make a
heard
$250,000 a
from
year if
banking
they were actually
experts.
together.
I've heard from banking experts that most people, doctors, lawyers, don't have $100 in their bank account. And I'm looking like, what about the bill account? That's how I think. That's how I think. I'm like, okay, but what about the bill account? Because in the bill account, there's got to be thousands. Angela, I guess I shouldn't out her. Angela always looks at me crazy when I talk about money because she'd be like, Clecia, that's not how people are living. And I be feeling like, how? How do I have more money than poor people? And I feel like they got more money than me.
It's funny that you said that the other day, and I had to laugh because it was funny.
Why? Why am I jealous of the poor people's money?
You jealous of the poor people money because they not even spending their money. They
Oh,
they
wait,
they
wait.
digging a hole.
Okay, so I'm jealous of the poor people's money because they have extra money that they're not spending. I don't understand.
No, all of that shit is probably a credit card or something that's just more debt. They not spending their own money. They spending some money that they owe somebody already.
That's crazy. So like when they go like Christmas shopping, birthday, when they pay $300 for a birthday party, that's like credit card money.
Some of it
I want to throw up.
ain't no way, but
I want to throw up.
that's the world that we live in today.
Okay, so what would you say about the psychology of money? You said something earlier too, which was like when we were talking earlier about the couples and doing the before you get married situation. What would you say that it, or why is it important to understand your partner's perspective and psychology of money?
Because I don't have the numbers or statistics in front of me, but a very high number of relationships end due to finances. And I am almost an expert. I was gonna say I'm no expert, but god damn it, I'm about 2 weeks out.
Why don't you just say you are?
I'm about 2 weeks out to being certified. But
There's no way. I just say
yeah,
I am. You only got 2 weeks.
yeah, I am, yeah, well, damn near certified
The
expert.
video ain't gonna be edited in two
But
weeks.
but realistically, I believe that vision piece has a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with it. It's important. It's important to know where you're going. Especially, and I don't want to generalize marriage as man and woman, but I can.
In partnership. You can call it a partnership.
But, when you're together with somebody, genuinely you have a leader and a follower. I mean, it's not rare to have two leaders, but in that perspective, y'all can't be going in two different directions together.
Eventually you'll hit a point where you want the money to go towards your thing because you'll either be very close to it or it'll be time for you to get it or whatever. And the other person will be thinking, hell no, I didn't agree to that. It wasn't a part of their personal perspective of where money should be going in your relationship. But if you do the beforehand today, right now, if you're already married and you go ahead and say, this is our one list, what we think. And you can change the list. The list
Yeah,
can be evolving, growing. You could check off the list and create a new list.
flexible and agile.
But it should always, you should never be financially chasing after something your partner is completely unaware of.
Oh yeah, facts,
Completely unaware of.
facts.
And I don't mean like, you want to buy extra groceries. I don't necessarily mean like that, but I do mean if you're going to buy the super duper vacuum because you want to get your carpets really good because he keeps complaining, but then you're like, I need the really good vacuum. And then he goes and blows the money on gambling at the casino or something stupid. And then you're here upset because my carpet's not clean, but also not giving me the funds that I need in order to go get it. That's a conversation. You were thinking we were saving you, almost got it saved, and here he goes. He didn't even know. Now, if it had been a conversation, maybe he would have used discipline. Who knows? But I think it's really important that there's always a conversation. And if you're in a relationship where you're not making six figures, maybe you're only making 40K together, right? Maybe you're only making 40K together. If you're only making 40K together, y'all need to be talking about $20 purchases.
Yeah,
Do you
for
see what I'm
sure.
saying? Baby, why you spent $20?
Hmm.
Because we had talked about packing lunches.
Yeah,
And with full transparency, we live a lifestyle that's literally like we only got $20.
and you want me to say why? Because it's safe.
I think we've learned it works.
Yeah, it's
It's
safe.
it's it's a proven system. It's if the dryer goes out, at no point do I flinch. I might get a little frustrated at the inconvenience, but it's not going to affect my kids' dinner or my light bill or or the prom that I had promised.
Yeah, I think the power in that controlling that level of stress is really invaluable because for some people, it having to come up with money for an emergency can stress them out really for months because now they got to work overtime, they got to borrow money, they got to pay the money back. It throws off the bills. But for a person who, you know, I ain't gonna say got it, but has built their financials to be able to be established in an emergency, the biggest inconvenience is the time that it takes for them to bring the dryer, the time it takes for them to change the tire. That's the inconvenience. It don't
Yeah.
set you back months. It might set you back a couple hours or maybe a week because it's a special order dryer or something. But for other people, like borrowing the money and then having to pay $30 every week, and then like it becomes a long-term problem.
Yeah, and it snowballs into, dang, we can't save money. We can't.
Yeah.
Using the discipline in spending, which since the beginning of this year, I really felt proud of myself with the focus of discipline. Have I perfected it? No, by no means. But as I'm exercising it more, it's working better for me when I activate it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it's same thing with being financially disciplined. So maybe we don't go out to eat for 2 weeks. We just try and see if we can do that. And okay, we did it for two. Now we need to make sure that if we're going to go out to eat, we're not spending 50K because we already know we can go 2 weeks without it and we were able to save $250.
Hmm.
So now that we got an extra $250 that we didn't use out to eat, we realize that's our car payment. We could pay it twice, get the car paid off faster, but all we got to do is skip 1 week in this part of the month, and then we go out to eat this week. Then the next week we got to skip because we paying the car off faster. Now, once we get the car paid off faster, that's an additional $240 we got in the bank. And now after 3 or 4 months, we got enough money to get something else, or even to start thinking about buying a home or paying off our debt, whatever. But it starts with Starbucks, Hulu, out, anything out to eat. I feel like a lot of people are out to eat. They're paying for convenience. A lot of it is ripping and running, gas, travel, like minimizing the places that you go and the things that you do. Maybe we got to sit at home this weekend. Maybe we don't do nothing. Maybe the kids aren't playing sports. You, Let me tell you something. As a college athlete and a women's basketball expert, your kids can go 1 year without sports. You will be fine. They will be fine. Their sport will be fine. Their life will be fine. They could even skip a year in high school. Believe it or not, they could skip a whole year in high school of a sport and still come back and be successful. So financially, if you could take 1 year to build your family's finances by taking off a little league for 1 year, and now when it's time to go to the tournament, everybody gets to go. We can stay at a nicer hotel. We got a van that works. I don't have to worry about the oil change because that 1 year that we took off in the sixth grade.
And you struck a nerve
Did I?
for me. Yeah, because I was just thinking
Because
about
I be skipping sports.
no. Back up to the $240 that we save to pay down something.
Oh, yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is, and this is one of those things that people really should work through, right? Don't like don't focus on your debts as paying bills because that's what they want you to do. If you focus on a debt like you're paying a bill, then
Oh,
you're
so
off
then they're just like stuck doing it forever.
exactly. And then so people are just paying these bills, except for if you look at it from a perspective of this is not a bill, this is a debt, and I can pay this off. And then it no longer becomes a part of my habitual spending because people spend a habit. $100 for the car insurance, $100 for the car, $100 for the, you see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Now, when you think, hey, I have to pay this $100 for the next 12 months, it's no longer just a habit. It's let me pay this a little bit faster. Now I can swing an extra couple $100 because that bill is not there no more. So you need to look at it not being a bill and look at it as like a true debt. Let me get rid of this
No,
thing.
that's
As
good.
yeah. So when you said, hey, now we got these 200, I'm like, some people think they must have that bill. Ugh.
Oh, change your mind. Change your mind. Change your mind. That's a part of changing your mind. Change your mind at the way that you look at the money that's leaving your money out of your bank account. Change your mind. It should, honestly, there should be an emotional attachment to your money more than there is an emotional attachment to the things you're purchasing. And I think changing your mind about being emotionally attached to the money, because not, oh, I want to have a whole lot of money and hoard it, but I want to be able to provide something that's more substantial and beneficial for my family than just temporarily gratifying.
Hmm.
And by temporarily gratifying, I look at that as it always blows me when people spend a lot of money on their kids' clothes. And I mean, it's not necessarily a judgmental thing because I don't necessarily like the way it looks. It has nothing to do with the perception of what it looks like. But for me, that was the plane ticket.
Hmm.
And I can get that at Goodwill with the tags on it. Same brand
Same thing.
for 50 cents. So we gonna go to Thailand with them same shorts on. Do you see what I'm saying? So then it's I have to, and this is me speaking to women who, or maybe even men who shop and want their kids to look away, and but it's not necessarily financially affordable. It's the same thing as baseball, people. You could take 1 year off of buying your kids fancy name brand, whatever, that you feel like they must have for pictures or blah, blah, blah. If you find yourself buying an outfit for stuff and then you look back in their closet and they still got stuff, then you're probably in that same cycle of spending and you haven't attached an emotion to the money. You've only attached an emotion to they got to look good for Easter. They got to look good for Christmas. And then we're going to go to my sister's. And now we got to buy this for the field trip. And then we got to do picture day. And what about, girl, I can't.
They commercialize like popular culture really for that reason, for you to just, we'll do this another episode, but literally to spend every single month there's a commercialized something to make you have to do that. And then you look a little bit deeper, then there's a commercialized something in school to make you have to do something.
Yeah, you mean the consumerism that is built into our nation.
Absolutely.
And it's put out intentionally. But see, when you're aware of it, just like today, I'm walking through looking at Christmas trees in Costco. These people are nuts if they think they're going to get a ticket to Ireland right now for a Christmas tree
that you're going to put up and throw out or store away for the next 11 months.
And like, I know I use travel a lot. I use travel a lot because I feel like traveling gives you a much better experience. And then you learn why you don't need all that crap, because in other places, there are people living for $2.50, looking better than your kids, going to private schools with pressed uniforms, hand sewn, please. So I think I'm always tickled when I go into shops and stuff during the holiday season because of the massive drive at consumerism.
Fun fact, I can't think of everybody, we talk about like fancy cars and all this other stuff. Fun fact, statistically, most millionaires drive a Honda, and I can't remember again the brand of the Honda car, but it's the Honda car, the reliable, old reliable.
I love Honda.
And then number 2 is Ford F-150.
Oh, so you want a Ford F-150? That's what you're trying to say?
No,
why did you drop that there?
Because I'm just telling you, for most millionaires, those are the top 2 cars. It's not Bentley, it's not Mercedes, it's not Lexus, it's not none of those other brands. It's
It's not a luxury brand, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Honda and
Ford
pickup truck.
Okay. Do you have a question for me?
No, I think we gave him a lot of free chicken today.
Okay.
We gave him a lot of free chicken, and I'm really looking forward to starting this new curriculum. But we'll definitely be back on to talk some more business, and then we can also get into the details of the GOAT Business Blueprint, the blueprint handbook. Okay. But thank y'all for joining, for sure. Go to thegoatbusiness.com/shop. You can get the GOAT merch. She got the nice little Riverdale shirt on. I got on a plain Jane GOAT hoodie. You can get them in a handful of colors. And then don't forget to check out the books, because one of the things that you always hear me talk about is I don't talk about anything that I haven't written down in the book. So for you to sit down and want to do a $250 consultation with me, but you don't have my $20 book, it's not going to be helpful, because you're going to miss most of the content that I told you in an hour in a book that you can read in 2.5. With that being said, change your mind, change your money, change your life. We out.